Good morning, everybody all around the world. I appreciate you guys so much. I'm excited to be here, and we're talking about business today. I am passionate about business, and I'm here to help people overcome different challenges they might be facing with their business, as well as tell people about my theory on why business is important with spirituality. So I added this topic to my Spiritual Absoluteness podcast, as well as my program, Mind and Body Completion, because business is a big part of our life. Money is a big part of our life, and it's a big influence. So we're going to talk a little bit about that today. I'm going to attempt to go slower. I usually rush these things, but we're going to be looking over to the left to see if there's any comments coming in. Please leave any type of comment that you feel that is on your heart or in your mind. We would like to walk you through this. It is these are very broad topics, and I tend to have so much information that I can't squeeze it out or remember it all at the same time to put it out there in a way that you could feel it without questions. I'm not able to get through everything that I want to sometimes, and I miss miss stuff, or I may mix stuff up, especially scientific studies or methods. But today we're going to go over first principle and how people think they have free will and how you can get free will. But basically, first principle brings everything back down to uh, physics, or um, let's see, how can I, what else do I call it? Chemical compound structures, or basically emotions. So if we notice and break things down, like the particular business that you're in or the job that you choose, there's always going to be a first principle method on why you chose that career. And it could be normally passed down from your parents and epigenetics. So if we decide we want a certain career path or take a certain job, even for the money, if we look at, if you're doing it for money, it's, you'll notice that it's because you probably didn't have a lot of money growing up, and you want to get something like a nicer house or a nicer car than your parents, or maybe you want to get your parents one, and because that's what they liked. But if you go a little further back, they liked that and they wanted that because they grew up maybe in a shack, or grew up in a poor neighborhood, and so they had these principles instilled in them at a young age to chase this certain dream. And the same thing goes with you. Sometimes if you were maybe raised in a giant house or big, you may not choose a job for money. You may choose it for passion, or maybe something like that. Maybe you wanted a lot of money to try and save the world, save the homeless community, give back, things of that nature. And I say there are 12 principal 12 personalities in any business, as well as throughout your life. Everybody's going to have these 12 personalities, traits that they're going to go through, and you'll notice like everybody has a certain skill set, or I say a purpose. Some people are better at certain things than others. Like me, I am terrible at finance, but I'm really good at marketing or branding. So I don't do any type of financial. Let me turn this off real quick. I don't do any type of financial um, management. I do studies, of course, because I need to know about everything. That's just my nature. I'm a seeker, and I have to know the truth. So I break everything down into first principle method using science and technology, of course. I love technology. I have a web development company, and I'm I'm looking for partners, looking for investors. Put that plug out there into the universe. Hopefully, somebody. I'm also looking for somebody to edit these videos for YouTube. So if you're out there, go ahead, leave me a comment, and you can get a stake in our company. You can be a part of this free training, lots of stuff. Another thing is on any one of my videos, I keep them very vague and broad for a purpose. Esoteric wisdom and knowledge, by definition, is secret and only for the select few. So nobody or not everyone is able to understand these principles or topics. So like I said, it's only for a select few. And if you get it, that is for you. The universe is talking directly to you. And I believe it is in stages. So everybody has to come into their mature body and start to express themselves and experience these truths, as well as seek more knowledge and wisdom through various ways. I like to use science a lot. I talk about a few major experiments that helped me. One was the Schrodinger's cat in the box. One was Einstein's quantum entanglement or spooky action at a distance. One of them was the double slit experiment, which shows that anything you study will basically, whatever you put your attention on can change. I talk about this with my students, and it goes real deep. But just wanted to mention a few of these things. Let's see, what was another one? Don't want to forget, but there are we're all waves of potential, unlimited potential. I like to look at it as the spectrum, like light. Let me see one thing I had looked up earlier just to clarify. There are so many. Well, there's a few wavelengths of light. Let's see, light is in its broadest sense is an electromagnetic radiation. This means it's a form of energy that travels in waves and has both electric and magnetic components. So I'm reading something right here off of Google's definition of it. And let's see, let's break down the main types of light: gamma rays, X rays, ultraviolet, visible light, that's what we see, infrared, microwaves, and radio waves. So you know what microwave is and you know what a radio is. So there's information basically traveling through each one of these spectrums of light or electromagnetism, and we only see that one part. But if we become enlightened or we get into an awakened state, you can heighten your senses of awareness so much that you can actually see these different waves. You can see data flowing like zeros and ones, kind of like the Matrix. All these movies and everything comes from these underlying truth that is already instilled into us from birth. So what I'm attempting to do is awaken the cosmic consciousness within you and reprogram your DNA or regenerate your DNA for truth so you can accept this truth and experience this light. Sorry, I got another notification. Let me turn this phone back down. And one way to look at it is, if you notice, our limited visibility is that I can always see this side of my palm, but I can never see this side of my palm at the same time. Only the other person on that side can see it, and vice versa for the sides. And anywhere in life, you're always going to have your own perspective of life, and God gives you these opportunities to come into oneness with Him. That's when you can have the broad or the full spectrum of life. And when you do this, you become connected to everyone who is experiencing that same awakening. Otherwise, everybody else is technically asleep. And we notice that it comes into us in waves. So God is talking and moving through everybody at different times, you could say. We don't have a fully awakened world, or else we would all notice that we're all love beings. Nothing is ever wrong. You can't fight in this state of mind when you're in this consciousness. it's all love and pure joy and bliss. Um, there's really no direct purpose at that moment as well. So we do have to come back into our physical, etherical, I mean, our physical being, our body, and learn to move throughout the universe in that way, or our world, until we pass, that is, into the next life. I'll talk a little bit more about heaven and how my theories are on that deeper again. I talked a little bit about that yesterday on a live random talk, but one thing we need to do is have a sense of enthusiasm, optimism, a strong attitude, and a strong work ethic if we want to build a good brand or a good business. And you have to be well rounded in a lot of things, or else you're going to be having to fake this happiness and fake these things. And that's never a good thing, in my opinion, because you can't be authentic. A brand is also like a entity. It has its own life of its own, and you have to give it air, oxygen to breathe, and you have to give it room to grow and expand. If you're constantly in control and fearful and this or that, then your brand is not going to go where it needs to go. You have to give up a little control and allow the universe to speak to you and through you in your business, place of business. If you're in corporate world, it doesn't matter. You still have to have these types of mentality and attitude to reach the top. Everybody wants to reach the top, right? Nobody just gets the goal or the reward and just lives with it like that, all content for the rest of their lives. No, they get the reward, they get that goal, they get that job, and then they want to, you know, enjoy it for a day or two, and then the next day or the next week, they're on to the next mission, on to the next purpose, on to the next um, thing to conquer, if you will. So the conquering mentality is not a bad thing. It's only a bad thing when you only living for it and you're hurting other people because of it. Uh, some people just actually tend to make other people angry and mad, and that's where they get their joy in life. That's not a good life to live, because you're never happy. You know, you can't make enough people pissed off at you. There's people that are like me who will kill you with kindness and love you no matter what, and then tell you the truth about what you're doing. You're just exposing yourself to the world when you do these things. Um, but yeah, how often to post? I had put that on here. If anybody's interested in getting more into advertising, marketing, or social media, we can definitely talk about that. I kind of want to do those with people asking questions, and so I can give specific knowledge on that industry and tips for your business. I also have my marketing company that is exclusive for one industry per per campaign or per market, so I don't give all these secrets to multiple industries and they're all copying each other. Basically, we want our businesses to stand out above any other business in the world and be unique to itself. So with that, I can't have every person from every industry coming at me looking for a request. And yeah, so these 12 personalities that we live throughout our life can be things like I look at it like the Bible, 12 disciples. You could look at it like the 12 zodiac signs, however you want. But basically, if we notice during our life as a kid, as an adolescent, as a parent, as a grandparent, those are just a few of them. Each particular stage of life, you're going to have a different personality, or you may actually have multiple personalities, but you'll see, you know, that's why no two people are exactly the same. But as you know, you set up a set of 10-year-olds, they're all going to be similar, but you'll have a few of them that stand out different, or you may have a couple groups that stand out in a different way. And it goes like this as an adult or as an adolescent, you know, when you're 15, 20, then again when you're 30, 40, 50s, etc., your personality tends to change, and you'll have a set of two sets of groups in each category that are um, that are different, but they're the same because um, you're gonna kind of flow in between both of them. You're gonna want to be like that friend. So you're gonna flow in between both of them, and that's six, and then times two is 12. Um, they say there could be 17, 21, and even an infinite amount because of multi dimensions. We're all technically a dimension of life, and our thoughts can reach higher dimensions. All right. Um, let's see. So, with that said, if you're living in subconscious programming, there is no free will for you. You're only doing what you did yesterday, what somebody told you to do, what not to do. The only time free will comes into place is when you can pick up your fist and punch somebody in the face for basically no reason. um, and that is something that it's not recommended or people don't do. That's just an analogy of somebody who says there is no free will. Um, but even then, if you're taking on that stance, eventually somebody's gonna punch you in the face. Okay, so don't take on that stance. Understand that there's an infinite wave of potential, and it collapses only upon attention. You can notice this when somebody walks in the room. Depending on who it is, your attitudes and behaviors are going to immediately change. And it's not even you. It's your body picking it up. It could be a sense. You could just hear something walk in the room, and you're gonna change a little bit. Your posture, your attitude. So this is why I say that your body is actually communicating with itself and the mind to allow you to be who you are. And you can look at this as the autonomic nervous system, the sympathetic nervous system. You can look at it in a lot of different ways that this is happening. I call it water transformation, quantum entanglement, a lot of different stuff. But I believe it is the through fungal and microorganisms, as well as water, which is basically an organism or a what is it? Molecule, atom. And so we're all connected, electrons as well. There's electrons and protons and just about everything. We're connected through these waves of potential, and these are influenced by what we call the quantum field. What's up, everybody? Let me know if you are interested in this. If you have any questions about business, branding, enlightenment, we're here for you, and we love you a lot. We're going to be putting these videos out deeper on YouTube. We're going to edit them. So hopefully you will subscribe whenever I start putting that out, and you can get some wisdom in there. I want to go for at least an hour, but I've already talked about a lot of stuff. Oh, habits. If you have a bad habit that you're kind of trying to break, like smoking or drinking or eating, before you do one of these habits, go ahead and write down. Get you a pen and paper and write down, or even you could think about it, but if you write it down, it'll be a little bit better, because you're going to want to use first principle methods when you're breaking down these habits. Write down, why am I doing this? First of all, before you do it, why am I doing this? If we notice why, then we can break down the underlying um, because they're a symptom, their underlying reason, okay? And most of the time it's because you're bored, you're angry, you're sad, you're tired, frustrated. So you're gonna have it's basically mostly because of a negative emotion, all right, or uncomfortable emotion. So write that down and think about confronting those negative emotions And that can go deeper. Why you're having that emotion? Oh, it's because somebody told me this. I was raised this way. And I like to break down these titles because a business can be a title. And the only thing that's going to get you frustrated is that if your title is not where you want it to be. If you're not making that money, you don't have that title, job title, you don't have that position, you don't have that world champion, whatever it is that you're looking for, those are actually what's causing a lot of your turmoil in your life. Somebody might have called you a loser, deadbeat, whatever it may be. Um, Break down these things and notice that these are all lies. Okay, somebody lied to you. Um, so break down those titles and face the trauma. A lot of the times we have what I call epigenetic trauma in us. So your parents could have went through a rape, a murder, witnessed a murder, had a family member die at an early age, and technically we all have that in our family. So because of we've our country was built off of wars, genocide, a lot of different things. Oh yeah, if you guys are going through that Mexican protest, I commend you guys. I am like a third generation American, Hispanic, Mexican American. So my ancestors, probably four generations back, were part of the Texas independence from Mexico. So they are all Mexican citizens, born Mexican until Texas fought for their independence, and then 10 years later ended up joining America and the Constitution and the taxes and all that to receive basically help, so somebody else doesn't come and try and take over Texas. But I commend you guys. Do the boycott, do the protest, be peaceful about it, and stand up for what you believe in. Humanitarians. This is human. These are humans, guys. Nobody owns the land. God gave everybody everything in order to receive it and prosper it and learn the truth from it. So don't carry any type of hate, resentments in your heart. We talked about how that is just showing that you're lacking something and that you desire and you probably can't get. All right. So be happy with what you do have, man. That's super important. Another thing about creating lists and to-do lists, I don't recommend that because to-do lists tend to go on, and you can do it, but don't put yourself hold yourself to it. If you create the list, make a time block for each type of list that you're going. You may have a list for work, a list for the house, a list for your goals or your dreams, and put a time block on it. So that way you're not coming home and saying, "Oh, I never finished off my list. I'm never gonna finish it. I'm a loser." You don't have that sense of gratitude and accomplishment. You want to have some accomplishment in life, and you want to have a pursuit. So when you put these time blocks throughout the day, you can schedule 3 or 4 hours to do a certain task, 3 or 4 hours to do another task. Of course, schedule your sleep. You need to have some good sleep. These days, I'm only sleeping about 4 to 5 hours. Sometimes throughout the week, I'll get a little bit more. But if you're going through an enlightenment stage or a phase, go ahead and get as much sleep as you possibly can, because especially if you're fasting and you're studying, it requires a lot of mental energy and it will drain you very fast. You'll be feeling tired, and you don't want to be feeling tired because it's hard to feel love and peace when you're tired. So get you a lot of sleep, guys. And while we're on sleep, I think life is similar to a dream or a thought. And if you notice, when we're asleep and we're in flow state or a dream state, which I believe flow state is very close to a dream state. And if you don't know what flow state is, we'll talk about that in just a minute. But if you notice that when you're in a dream, the world is the physical world is shut off, so it's not there. But the world in your dream is 100% real. You can feel it, you can experience it, you can even wake up crying or wake up with bliss and want to go back into your dream and finish off that task you were doing or whatever it may be. But that's exactly how consciousness is. We're uh, kind of lost my train of thought, but uh, God is kind of living His dream through you, and yeah. So dreaming is kind of like a glimpse into the truth, as well as heaven. So I believe heaven is here on earth only when you reach the enlightenment stage or complete it. You could even feel it during any type of awakening moment or enlightened moment. You'll just feel like you're in heaven, and so it's there for you, and you've got lots of evidence. Let me see. Uh, 25 minutes. That's, I actually don't like going too long, but when I get on my YouTube, when I start my YouTube podcast, I'm going to invite people in, and that's when I would actually go much deeper on a lot of these topics and start to hopefully bring more value to you and help you heal and overcome, as well as achieve the highest level of spirituality and satisfaction. Okay, you want to be satisfied with life every time, every moment, and be blessed through it, because like I mentioned, everything is good, guys. If you're believing in evil or sin or whatever that is, it's because you're stuck in it and you don't have the truth yet. Let us talk about that when we go into our enlightenment topic. But feel free to ask any questions at any point, and I'm going to bless you guys. I'm going to give you my knowledge and truth so you can take it home and have some authority, have some confidence. The main thing you want to have here is confidence. You don't want to be walking around this beautiful green earth or beautiful loving earth and doubting people, doubting yourself, not experiencing the joy, not meeting new people. That to me is that's hell, when you're not able to be who you are and not be yourself, and you're lying or whatever it is that you're stuck doing. And that's what basically sin is if you're not, and I don't like to call it that because everybody's going through their phase in life. So if you're not there yet, you're just not there yet, in my opinion. You're not technically sinning. um, but that could be an analogy of what sin is for me. It is just simply not coming into your truth and becoming who you are, or living the way you want to live, and allowing other people to judge you. Everybody has truth and pure love in their heart. There's nobody who is born evil, born with malicious intent. You could say there are possibly some mental illness that could arise, but even then, that's still part of our consciousness, and it's in everybody, uh, and it's for a reason. One day we'll go into that a lot deeper, and we'll break down some of people's. I like to do that in person because people have to put their business out there. Maybe I'll do it on my own story, but that's what I do with my students, and that's what I do in my book. So I'm not gonna do that here. If I do any other podcast with somebody else, they can ask me these questions about what I've been through and all that stuff. We haven't had any live viewers, maybe one or two, and that's quite okay with me. Like I said, I'm practicing here on Facebook. My goal is to transfer over to YouTube. I'm somewhat of a perfectionist, and I am a bit of an introvert. So I want to get all of my topics down, wording down, and the flow of how they go down before I start getting on YouTube and for the whole world to see. I think YouTube is a platform for education, and Facebook is the platform for entertainment. So I like to be on here because if I can break into your schedule and break into your subconscious basically and let you feel some of this truth so you can start to study and research on your own. That's why I don't go too deep either. I always bring up these topics, and even though I know a lot about them, I don't go very deep on them so you can do your own research and you can experience this stuff yourself. A lot of people have done the studies and they don't even know how to incorporate it into spirituality. They don't know how to incorporate it into life. They just know the facts. Like, oh, I know that this proton or this neutron or this quark or uh, this atom, this molecule can do this or that, and but they don't know why. They don't have any meaning behind it. And for me, I had to find meaning and truth, and so that's why I went into those fields of physics, and astronomy, and biology. I had to find the truth of what I had experienced on my own through enlightenment, through a stress-induced secretion, is what I call it. The what I found out. What technically I was just seeing visions. I was flying around the earth. I was seeing thousands of years in the past, and I wasn't on any drugs. I was only doing what God had told me to do, or Buddha, which was fast, live pure, do not have sex, do not do this when you're not supposed to, do not do that, do not eat too much, do not eat poison, only drink water. This is what I was doing. This is when it happened. And that's how I know that after doing all that, I did the research, I did the study, I started looking at all these doctors, teachers, scientists, religious leaders, and they were all getting me back to this truth of, oh, okay, we're primordial animals, we're animalistic beings, we're part of the earth, we were created this way. And so I had to get back to my animal nature and start, coming back to first principle methods basically, and realizing how we got to where we are. And a lot of it was through indoctrinations or dogma or spirituality. Spirituality is actually just a, a deterrence or a distraction from the truth. But I call it good distraction because remember, everything is good. But it will distract you so you don't get into this state of enlightenment too early. So it needs to put you on this little path of distraction, and a little, because in every person who does deep study on their religion will get to this truth. They'll have a ceiling where they can no longer understand. They'll have the experience down here in spirituality, then they'll have the understanding, which is the breaking through the science of truth that I talk about, or religion, basically. I call it losing religion. I call it a few other things. And it's a very scary moment in life because your brain has to reset and you have to learn how to walk, learn how to talk, learn how to cook, learn how to do basic things because your mind just resets for some reason. And the ego dies at that point. And it's a very, very scary thing because you feel and think you're going to die as well because you're so interconnected with the ego. We can't see ourselves outside of our identity. And our identity could be our job, it could be our projects or passions or business. That's your identity, and that's who you are. And that's not a bad thing. Your egos aren't a bad thing. Being selfish and loving yourself and wanting to be something greater and be the best in your field, none of that is bad. Of course, it's highly encouraged. But without the truth, you're not going to actually be the authentic champion that you wanted to be. You're going to be the champion of the people or something. And to me, that's not a good thing. Uh, and when you become super enlightened, you'll realize I don't have to be the champion. I don't have to do this. But if I am, or if I do, I'm not doing it for you. I'm not doing it for the money. So that's one of the things that you're gonna realize, and it's a blessing. So yeah, I'm super blessed right now. I'm feeling very well. I am as pure as can be. I'm actually looking for a partner, a life partner at this time. I've been single for almost 10 years, it feels like. Uh, so I'm getting into that stage where, okay, I might need to have a companion, a life partner. So I'm going to put it out there. Maybe the universe can show me a little bit about that and bring me back to, because I wasn't good at relationships. I always picked, like, the worst people to pick, if you will, at the worst timing. And I always had to have a companion just because I felt lonely, but, or, wanted to procreate or have, release sexual desire. But after breaking these habits and conquering them, if you will, I decided that the marriage and the licensing and the commitments and the constantly chasing back and forth is not for me. So if I do find somebody, I want them to be on the same level, plane, spiritual plane, at least have some hobbies, some goals, and be motivated in that direction as well. I was able to break my habits just recently, actually. That I fall back into different habits of what is it, self destruction, maybe. And for me, it is just like food, alcohol, marijuana, contentment. And that's just not who I am, per se. And that's not who I want to be. So I want to be completely pure and authentic, especially when I'm helping people, to give them more truth and not be afraid or sugarcoat anything. So, yep. Leave a like if you don't mind. Leave a like, and follow if you haven't followed any of our videos. Please go back and take a look at them. Again, you can skip through by double tapping on that little skip 10 seconds button and pass up anything you don't want to, but try to find a little 5 or 10 minutes on each um, video to try to go through it and see if you can learn something you've never heard of, maybe a word or something like that, because that's what I did. I found like different words that popped into my head, and that's how I got all the knowledge that I got. It was always usually been through digital downloads. I would wake up, or I'd be in the shower, or I'd be on a jog, and eventually I like this word popped into my head, or this sentence, and I'd be like, "What the heck did that come from?" So I'd go look it up, and it'd be like right on point. Man, this is crazy. Um, it could have even been a number sometimes, and I'd be like, what does this number mean in esoteric wisdom? And I'd realize, oh, that's the atomic number of this structure that I've been feeling, and that's why I'm low on iron, I'm low on deficiency, I'm deficient in this area of nutrients. So I always bring everything back to the body. Everything has to do with the chemical compound structures of our body and our DNA. Nutrients, nutrients. They call it chemical deficiencies, this and that, but we're mental beings. Everything consciousness, everything comes from consciousness, and uh, technically comes from the quantum field of electromagnetism. And yeah, it's unexplainable. God is the all, the source, the creator, the the everything. All right, there's nothing without God, and God is also in you, and it is you. So move through life with extreme authority, and if you're not there yet, It's okay. You can fake it till you make it, if you will. Just know that if you're causing pain and hurt, you can be forgiven. You can forgive yourself. You don't have to have guilt, shame, and negative emotions. These are all lies. These are all underlying symptoms of a greater source of reasoning. God's giving you this stuff for a reason. The hardest stuff you're gonna go through is the best teacher, and it's the best thing to overcome, because you're gonna have a greater story and you're gonna have a greater experience. So I used to compare myself a lot to people and think that, you know, there's enough people talking about this stuff. Why do I need to talk about it? But, I have my own take on it and I have my own philosophy. I believe everybody who becomes enlightened will have their own circular philosophy, because if you have questions that you can't solve, you're not enlightened. And I had to do tons of meditation, tons of fasting, tons of this, tons of that, just to come into that flow state. You can have flow state when you're doing anything. You can be when you're cooking, when you're sewing, when you're playing basketball, when you're golfing, and you're just focused on one thing and not nothing else, and you feel at peace, you feel at home. And you can do that when you're doing spiritual teachings and enlightenment. That's what eventually happens. You become so enlightened that you're in this flow state, and nothing can phase you, nothing can hurt you, and you see God's numbers, you see God's signs, you see God's symbols. And I say, everything. Like, I could look at an object and I'll be like, this is say for a rock, this is a quartz, this is basalt, this is limestone. Oh man, this is actually a petrified wood rock right here. I know what this is. Yeah, and the same thing goes with the desk. Oh, this is Brazilian redwood. It has a little finish. Wait, this is plastic right here. This is made with this is fake. This is metal right here. I bet this metal comes from India. It's been shipped over here. You could tell. And so you look at everything and you know how it was made, who created it, the brand designers. Of course you can see, oh, this is Fendi. This comes from um, probably from Italy. It has handmade stitching in it. So this Italian guy was probably barefooted with the robe on, or I'm just making that up at this time, but you'll just know instinctively. Or this Italian guy was probably laughing at lunch while he thought of this design right here, and he was drinking a glass of wine, on the hillside. But you can look at everything and be like, oh, this is right here was made in Texas. Some factory put this out, and some rednecks came over here and they beat the hell out of this thing. This will never be destructible. You could always come up with the solution for everything. Basically, is what I'm saying. And that's what happened, and it was a weird thing. It was a crazy thing. I talked about yesterday how I was able to live multiple lives and have multiple perspectives on um, crime, trauma, and it was able to give me the truth, because I thought that I was a victim. And I thought I was a victim of a lot of crime, a lot of assault, a lot of trauma even through the government. I thought my family was a victim. I thought my country was a victim, my race. And you could see it playing out in real life. And I don't say we're victims. You could see how it's actually changing the world, or could change the world. So it was a good thing. It's a good thing. Mexicans need to stand up for each other, and they need to stop getting ran over. And that goes for everybody. If you're a minority, or if you're getting ran over in your job, people are gonna, because this is really a title and it's really a power struggle. The rich are gonna be wanting to always be richer. Of course, you can't ever have enough money. You can't ever have enough properties, enough business, enough control. Um, so, and the people in poverty mentally are just there for a moment. So we're going to elevate our consciousness. Things are going to be flipped on their rears, and there's always these cycles, and it happens throughout every 100 years, every couple 100 years. You'll see a change in societies, and things will change. That's just life, and I hope you're ready for it. And I hope you're not avoiding problems, avoiding confrontation, avoiding discomfort, because guess what? The longer you do that, the faster it's going to come. And when it hits you, boy, it's going to hurt. It's going to hurt real bad when you lose your job. It's going to hurt real bad when you don't have enough money to pay the bills. It's going to hurt real bad when somebody in your family decides to end their life, when somebody in their family decides to pick up drugs and accidentally loses their life, when somebody in your family decides to drive at a late night and some drunk people are out there and they hit them and they lose their life, or become uh, life altering um, injury. So another thing is, I actually got into this business because of an injury, or actually technical the tech business. I injured my back real bad, and I wasn't able to perform in landscaping like I used to. My passion used to be landscaping. I love being out in the dirt. I love the way I can transform a backyard or a front yard or outdoor space. It just brought me and brings me, still to this day. I like to go and work a little bit, but I can't do it that much because if I do, the next day I'm out. I'm out on the bed. I'm out, at the hospital looking to figure out what the hell is wrong with me. Um, but I basically have the spinal cord has been damaged, and that put me to on the trajectory to look up, to be like, man, what the heck, my purpose is gone. My tech business isn't going on anywhere I wanted to go. I had everything. What am I doing? And that's what made me start looking for the truth. And because right during that time, I actually didn't. I might have believed super in God, but then after I wasn't becoming successful as I was in landscaping, I decided there can't be no God. I've been praying my ass off, and God blessed me the first time. This is fake. It's not working. uh, because when I was younger, I could pray and it came true no matter what, almost, even for bad stuff. But this was all intention. That's how I knew the power of intention and manifestation was real. But woo woo praying to some God, that's a different story, and we'll talk about that a little bit later in another day. Um, so yeah, I had to find it because I thought it was just the end, and at that time I couldn't accept it. I had so much experiences with God that dying and not being able to come back or not being able to be alive anymore was unfathomable at that point. It was like, you know, or it was the only truth. And I started looking at a lot of atheists and started looking at all the counter arguments, and it was a time where I thought that was it. We're just here for a brief moment of time and that's it, and that was technically okay with me. I didn't want to deal with any more of the pain. And then God brought me out of it. He didn't. Actually, I believe I had attempted a few times to take my life, and I couldn't. I couldn't. Wasn't successful. So I had to come up with another plan. And God said, it's not gonna work. And I tried over and over, and it was like, all right. I didn't want to do it deliberately per se, even though I tried. It was just my body was too strong and my mind was too strong, and I couldn't go through with it. So thankfully I didn't, because I'm here today, and I have knowingly saved a lot of people from their turmoil, their dark nights, and possibly taking their own lives. I've saved a lot of people, and I'm blessed for that. I'm not being um, not trying to brag about it or anything. I just know this, and this is what I believe I'm here for. So if anything, I'm content with that. And if it were to happen to today, sometimes I do fear death when I'm going through an extremely terrible situation, either with the heart or with the body or something. Uh, I have a little bit of fear, but I always tell myself, and I have only fear because I feel like I haven't done everything that I want to yet. I haven't been able to make some amends. I haven't been able to do the things I want. So that's the little bit of fear that I do have sometimes. But then I have to bring myself back to the truth that I'm not in control here. Whatever happens to me, I did my best in life, and I've lived a full life. I believe I've had everything I wanted come true, and even more. So, um, well, as a youth, as an adult, I believe my goal is not to have everything come true because it's an impossible state. All the stuff I want to do in life, it's technically impossible for one man to do, and even in my lifetime to do. But if I can leave the mark on the world that it's possible to overcome the state that we're in and be better humans, then I'm okay with that. I've done what I had to do to show the world who I am and what I believe in. And that's what I'm doing here for you. It's 50 minutes. Thankfully, I am proud to go longer if anybody does come in with questions at any time. But 1 hour for me, a little less than an hour, is 100% okay and fine. I don't believe I rushed this, so I'm happy. Uh, and I'll be back every week, every Friday, guys. Unless I'm sick or something happens with the family and I have to get away, I'm not going to do it. But that's my new goal and commitment. And these days, I am keeping my promise to myself and to you. Every Friday will be live at this time because this is when I have the most energy, and this is the time that I like of the day. If I decide to change it, it might be around 7 to 9 p.m. because I also like that time as well. Um, so it just depends on what you guys want. I'm here for you, and I'm doing this only for you. There is no, I think I'm trying to demonetize this channel